Hi there, welcome to Terrorland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Capricorn energy. And we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Capricorn energy. The bottom row, more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy. We all have our dualistic nature of Capricorn within ourselves, and we have the free will to align with our more worldly, shadowy Capricorn nature of self, or to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And move forward in a more balanced way. So some people could be struggling within themselves. They might want to move forward a little differently. I view high vibe Capricorn as the King of Pentacles, where shadowy Capricorn is the devil. So as we learn lessons in life and grow and mature ourselves, we free ourselves from more immature ways of thinking or behaving or viewing life or viewing relationships, and we invest in ourselves and love ourselves and know our worth and value and know that love is to be just and fair and to treat other people the way you like to be treated. Get out of your more shadowy, egoic nature. And some people are moving forward in life that way, but some other people could be battling within themselves because you have to detach and free yourself from something that manipulates you. Or if you've kind of learned some lesson, that's some way of living life or something that used to kind of drive and motivate you or that you invested in, you kind of realize it's not, did it align with your truth at that time? Yeah. We've all been 15, 18, 21, 25. We lived our life certain ways, but do we stay that way forever? Is that what drives and motivates us throughout our life? High vibe energy is about truth and love and justice and fairness. I think high vibe people would communicate their truth in love to other people in their life to encourage those people to keep moving forward with them because they love them. But those people have their free will. And if those people are like, nope, I still like living my life like this, and I don't have a problem with living my life the way I live it, and you might have changed, and you might be inspired to do things differently, go do that. And sometimes some people in our life, it's not a problem, kind of like with our moms or our dads. It's like, I don't want to live my life like that, but you go ahead, you live your own life, and you're at a different stage of life than I am. And other people in our life can feel that way. I'm not kind of driven and motivated by that. You are, you go. And then there can be other people that don't like it. And it's just to kind of listen to our intuition about who's who. Shadowy Capricorn energy, kind of represented by the devil, is that some people are kind of shadowy. They're more about themselves. The list of shadow is extensive, but it can be selfish, greedy, lazy, more just about themselves, self-centered, egotistical, are more caught up in themselves or these things of the world, whether it's things they indulge in that they think is the answer to feeling happy in their life and they're living the dream life, or making their life all about ego or image or status or something. But it's kind of more codependent relationships, probably not being more authentic and loving. And we got to listen to our intuition as I talk about this. We all tap in to Capricorn energy, and we all want to be probably in, we're kind of looking, we each have our 12 zodiac signs of kind of where we are in our emotional maturity in our heart, our mind, our 3D world, and our creative, passionate nature. And we're kind of looking for people who are probably more on the same page as us. So as I talk about the high vibe people, the more shadowy people, just listen to your intuition about who those different people are in your life. This could be something that more impacts some people who could be Capricorns, Capricorn sun, moon, or rising sign, or have significant Capricorn placements. But for some of them, it doesn't manipulate them at all because they've learned the lessons they were meant to learn, and they keep maintaining balance and taking action in truth and love. So the reason for the bottom rose card is the Lover's card. And underneath that, we have the Judgment card. And the Lover's card is Gemini energy, which talks about our dualistic free will nature. And we've all had people that we have love for. And we've been in relationships with people when we've been more immature and shadowy, when other people have been more immature and shadowy. There can come a time where sometimes at points in our life, other people called judgment on us and they moved on. And then we've been at stages in our life where we've called judgment on some other people and we've moved on. And with some of the people, we keep moving forward with them. And, uh, you know, the judgment adjudication card can be where, if we're able to work through those differences, the adjudication reminds me of Libra energy, which is represented by the scales of justice. Who do I love and who loves me? And we work through these issues and we go through these stages of life, and we're all willing to hold ourselves accountable, out of love for each other. We treat each other the way we like to be treated. Does that mean some of those people want to live their life the way we want to live our life? No. But we respect that each other is their own individual and you have the free will to live your life the way you want to live it. But when we're around each other, we treat each other in a more just and fair, balanced way. They can live their life in a more worldly, shadowy way. Other people could live their life more motivated and inspired by love, or always facing their fears. The bottom row can represent where some people, are happy with their life, or they like to stay in their comfort zone. And their comfort zone might be different than our comfort zone. They might like to keep happy with life the way it is, and we're not, and we want change. And I'm sure you get what I mean. With all the different people in our life, some people, hey, you go do you. And they're like, yep, you go do you. And we can be loving and encouraging to each other. And we cannot necessarily like, do I want to live your life like you? No. Do you want to live your life like me? No. But we can still have love and respect for each other, right? But probably the reason people come to tarot is because there's either more of a long-term relationship in your life, that you always thought those people that you'd be able to work through these differences, whether it's a family member or a friend or a romantic interest, and that you'd keep moving forward together. But sometimes we can go through a stage of life that, again, kind of who and what we love and who and what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into, and kind of what we think is just and fair is kind of different. And the reason for the top rose reading is a community card, which I view as the Three of Pentacles, which I is Capricorn energy. And high vibe energy is about maintaining balance. The masculine cards can represent kind of these things we want to do in our more worldly nature. The feminine figures can represent what we'd like to do in our more emotionally intuitive, creative, inspired nature. And the child can represent, that more hopeful, believing nature within ourselves. And high vibe energy is about balance. I work together with all three of these aspects within myself, so that kind of in my worldly nature, in my emotional nature, and in my more hopeful, believing nature, we're working cooperatively together for all of us to kind of accomplish some of the things we want to accomplish. Not where, oh, what's most important is in my worldly egoic nature, is what the masculine nature of ourself can represent. Or, oh no, it's only emotionally what I love, that's the most important thing, and maybe my stability and security in my more worldly nature doesn't matter, or I'm more codependent, or I indulge my immature nature. High vibe people are working together with their own aspects of self and maintaining kind of balance within themselves, and they want to work together with other people who are doing that. And there can be some people in our life that we love, and the shadowy row can kind of represent that people are tilted out of balance, where, if we're not maintaining balance and realizing all these aspects of ourself are important. And in tarot, we have the heart, the mind, the 3D world, and our creative, passionate nature, that all four are equally important. Some people haven't been enlightened to the truth yet. There's things that they could view as less important. Some people could be in more codependent energy, where they're still just looking for someone to love them because they haven't decided to love themselves. And it's always looking outside of themselves for people to love them or validate their worth and value. High vibe energy people have learned to love themselves, offer them self, love, compassion, forgiveness for being a fallible human being who had lessons to learn and have learned to appreciate themselves and like being a good mother, father, coach, voice to themselves, and offered love and compassion to people in their past. Those people were where they were at. I choose love, and I choose to not let the past keep manipulating me. And some people haven't learned to love themselves. So shadowy energy can just be, they're just more codependent. And other people could be, they don't want to work together. High vibe Three of Pentacles can be working with people cooperatively. And some people don't want to do that. They could love being more about themselves. They like it a little bit more their way. And so let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Thief card, which could kind of be like the Devil card or the Seven of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. Anybody in there more, Gemini talks about our free will nature. Anybody can choose to make their life about more about these things of the world, things they indulge in, and indulge our more immature nature, or let other people or the world manipulate them. They just might not. That's their free will choice. And then some people are people who just want to take from other people. What can I get from you? How does it benefit me? And it's only just out for their own self-interest. And then we have the High Honor card and the Courtship. The High Honor is like the Six of Wands of Leo energy. In their shadowy Leo energy and Capricorn and Aquarius energy and Gemini. And in the Courtship card, which is kind of reminds me of the Two of Cups, which is Cancer energy about what people love, some people made the decision, I do not want to work together with people cooperatively, and I don't want to free myself from my more worldly view of life or my being more about myself. I'm happy to keep aligning with the Two of Cups and Cancer can be, that's what I chose in my free will to align with. In my worldly and my emotional nature, that's my truth. That's kind of what motivates and inspires me. And that's how I want to live my life. So we could just know people where we feel like it is more about either being in a relationship to be in a relationship, maybe for the ego and the image, not really love. Being in a relationship more for the status or the ego or the image, not really love. More about themselves. And, we come in contact with all these different people in the world to kind of learn these lessons to get kind of more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. It's kind of like any friendship or relationship or job we get in, it's kind of like, like God asking us, is this your truth? Do you think this works for you? Do you think this is just and fair? Is this what motivates and inspires you? Is this what makes you happy? Is this what you find emotionally fulfilling? Is this like your dream life? Does it seem like you and this person or these people that you guys work together well enough that you can see moving forward in this relationship and, you'd be happy? We have the free will to say yep or no. And we move forward with people in a relationship. And when we move forward in relationship with people, we kind of really don't know what they're aligned with in their free will nature. Are they more driven and motivated by these more other things? Is that why they want to be in friendship or relationship? If it's romantic, do they do love or are they fearful of love? Do they just like to try to create the illusion they're motivated by love, but they're never in high vibe Leo going to be more authentic? It's shadowy energies where you try to create an illusion you're more motivated and inspired by love. Trying to deceive people about the truth of who you are. And we get to know people and then again, Everybody has their idea in Capricorn and Aquarius, kind of what they view as victorious and successful, and kind of their idea of the dream life. And some people aren't being deceptive and manipulative, but if we look at all the different people in our life, in our community, in our neighborhood, in our workplace, whatever, everybody has their free will to live their life whatever way they want. Is their idea of what's victorious and successful an idea of the dream life and things that motivate and inspire them and what they love our truth? And no, we know that. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just they have their truth, we have our truth, and we're trying to find people that are kind of more on the same page as us. And if there's people that we do get more involved in friendship or relationship with, if we start to see, and the deceit card or the thief card can be that initially we didn't listen to our intuition, because that's something to make a free will decision. We were given our more creative, inspired, intuitive nature. We're part of the animal kingdom, and just like bats have sonar and all the other animals have their unique talent, skill, interest, or whatever, the animals use it. But we were given some of those things out of love, because we have to navigate in this world where people can wear a false mask. We were given the gift of intuition, but are we going to listen to it? And we might go through a lot of life experiences where our intuition, our more high vibe nature was like, you should move away from that person. You should love yourself. You should maintain balance within yourself, believe in yourself. And we went and did it anyway, and we move forward in a job, friendship, or relationship with some people. Oh no, I'm sure they're motivated and inspired by love. Oh, I know they're kind of immature. Oh, I know they're kind of bossy or controlling or detached or full of themselves or whatever. But no, I'm sure they'll be motivated and inspired by love. Well, the thing is, as we learn as we go through life, that when we kind of meet people at these different stages of life that we go through, when we meet people and say we could view them as being much more maybe immature or reckless, and we're like kind of the same age, and we could view them as someone, that maybe we would like to be more in a friendship or relationship with, but they're more immature and reckless, well, and we're not. Well, we've maybe learned some lessons that some of those people haven't. Or maybe they're bossy or controlling or full of themselves, and we could have learned not to be more bossy and full of ourselves at some point in time in our life. You know, they had the free will throughout their life to choose to hold themselves accountable and move away from their more shadowy ways of being, of how they can indulge themselves in poor behavior, to be inspired by their more loving nature, to call judgment on their more shadowy nature. And they didn't. And that's why they are the way they are. You have to be willing to see the truth of it and be inspired to do life differently. And some of the people in the world who are more bossy or controlling or prideful or competitive or lazy and don't work cooperatively with people, it's because they don't want to do that. But we, the Seven of Swords in Aquarius, can be where we kind of don't want to see the truth, because we could find them charming or attractive. We want to be in friendship or relationship, or we want a job. And so we kind of don't listen to our intuition. Well, then we could find out that, you know, do we want to work with people who work together with us more cooperatively and are more free of their shadow nature? Then we have to call judgment on ourselves too. When I see people that are more shadowy in some way, I don't care, Capricorn and Aquarius could mean that people seem, doesn't mean they're Capricorn or Aquarius, but they have that, they, by worldly standards, could, because Capricorn is earth sign energy, the devil can represent all these things of the world that we can be attracted to. It could even just be an employer, right? We want a job. But with other people, it could be they seem attractive, charming, they look like a high vibe King of Pentacles. They could, in Aquarius, represented by the star card, they could shine bright somehow in their own way. Attractive, charming, victorious, successful, whatever it is, right? And so we're attracted to those kind of things. Well, are we willing to listen to our intuition, or will we be more manipulated by those things? There's people in the world, just like there's high vibe people, there's high vibe people that are attractive, charming, successful, social clout, all those good things. They also can present themselves like a King of Pentacles in Capricorn energy. Are we willing to listen to our intuition about who's who? Are we willing to get to know people? And, well, the whole thing is we might be drawn and attracted to certain people because there is some lesson to be learned from that person that might make us not ready at different times in our life to be in a relationship with people who do treat us the way we like to be treated and treat us the way we treat other people. Because again, we can repeat a pattern. You could be someone who's loving and nurturing, but you're used to being in relationships with people who don't treat you that way. And it's kind of your comfort zone. And it can be always trying to get those people to appreciate you or love you or hope that one day those people will change. Hope that one day those people will love you or be more just or fair. And we can do that for a long time in our life. And then we can be like, why am I doing that? Why am I getting in relationships with people who already have shown me? That's kind of the Six of Wands and Leo energy, also represented by the sun. You know, people kind of show us the truth of who they are, but we kind of don't want to see the truth. Because, you know, we love them, whether they're our adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, friendship, relationship, people. We love them, so we kind of have a hard time calling judgment on them. But how much work and effort do we keep investing in those people, hoping they'll change, you know, or that they'll work through their inner conflict or their past pain and heartbreak or their fears or their insecurities? Well, high vibe energy is like being a good leader in the world, that I can be loving and encouraging to people and accept they have their own free will to live their life the way they want. Can I always try to be a loving and encouraging person in their life and kind of keep my distance? You know, if you're kind of shadowy, bossy, immature, can I be a loving and encouraging person in general towards you? Yeah, do I want to hang out with you more? No. You know, and some of the shadowy people won't like that. Well, you know, if you're going to be shadowy, you know, to expect everybody to keep staying in denial of the truth and everybody want to keep indulging you in some kind of shadowy way of being is kind of living an illusion, which is what the bottom row can represent. People don't want to see the truth, want to live an illusion that people should just indulge me in my poor behavior. And people can do that for a really long time. And eventually they call judgment on some people. And then people have had judgment called on them. They have the free will to decide kind of how am I going to move forward next. In high vibe Leo, some people within themselves could get inspired to kind of deal with the truth. Why don't I align with my more loving nature? Why don't I work with people more cooperatively? And they could look at things within their life and how they grew up or their experiences, you know, all the things that kind of manipulate them to think and feel the way they think and feel. Why do they think and feel that way? How's that working out for them? Does that make sense? Kind of makes me think. I used to watch Dr. Phil all the time. Oh gosh, over 10 years ago or whatever. And it was always like, how's that working out for you? It's like in our pride and ego, we can keep saying, nope, I refuse to see the truth. I'm just going to keep doing things the way I've been doing it. They must have just been the wrong person. I don't click with them. I'm sure I'll find someone else who's more on the same page as me. They can do that. That's their free will. And some people will. In their more shadowy, egoic, prideful, stubborn, kind of full of themselves, I don't need to change. It's other people that need to change. And some people, in Capricorn, Aquarius, and Leo, in their free will, they could think, I look victorious and successful. I'm charming. I'm attractive. I have social clout. I got money. Whatever it is they think they got. And for some people, it's just all in their own head, very full of themselves. That they could think anybody should want to be in a relationship with them. Oh my God, they are like God's gift to people. Who wouldn't want to be in a relationship with them? And then they could always be confused. Like the devil, and Aquarius is like the Seven of Swords up in their head. It's like, I don't understand. I don't understand why those people didn't want to keep staying in a relationship, or why didn't those people want to keep working here? You are kind of clueless about some ways of being that you have that really isn't really working together with people cooperatively. And you seem to have these things that get you up in your head or get you in your ego or fear or insecurity or getting full of yourself or something that you don't want to see the truth of. So the shadowy people, and for some people it's just that they're more motivated by the world. That's our truth. That is the driving factor. The reason people should get in a friendship or relationship and stay in a relationship is more, can we like each other? Can we be attracted to each other? Perfect. Let's move forward in a relationship or get married because I like you, you like me, and it's good for our stability, our security. We look like shining stars. But it's more driven by those worldly, egoic reasons instead of love. High vibe, Gemini. It's more like the love of being in a relationship, the love of the stability, the security, the status, and the image of it. And if some of those people right now are in relationships with other people who think that way, they'll probably move forward in that relationship. And some of those people are thinking of making that decision to move forward with it. It all seems to work out. The only problem is, if it's not really about love, why are either of them in it? It's for those other reasons. And it's not about love. And if, as they're moving forward in their relationship, someone else comes along, or as they're moving forward, they see someone else who has more status, more image, well, that is the most important thing. See ya. Or, oh, that person's more fearful, more codependent, more insecure. They'd indulge me more in a relationship. I'm going to go get in a relationship with them. Shadowy energy can be, I either want it more about me, or, I want to be the one more indulged and less is required of me. I don't have to try to be more just and fair, temper myself, grow or heal and mature myself. Or, it's all this thing about indulging other people. It's not about truth and love and justice and fairness. And if they can't get someone to indulge them to the degree that they want, they'll either try to go find someone who will, or they think, because this is how they view life, that they'd be willing to indulge someone else. But if someone's kind of used to being the indulged person in a relationship, they might view this as a way of the way the world works. But if they go try to indulge someone and that's not really, they kind of like to be the more indulged person, that can be more challenging for them than they realize, right? And for some people, if they find someone where they get along well enough and it is more for these worldly reasons, um, and they're able to kind of maintain balance in the relationship, they might keep moving forward with it. If any of you have been in a workplace or relationship with some people, and sometimes it's just a mismatched relationship. One person is like loving and encouraging, the other person, it's imbalanced. But because they love them, they could stay in it. Um, let's go look at these three cards that aren't showing themselves: imprisonment, coffin, and great fortune. The coffin card can be, well, some people could get in a relationship, they could feel trapped because of something that ended in their life, whether that was a relationship or a friendship or a job or uh, someone in their life that either they wanted to marry, they did marry, or mom or dads or something like that could have passed away. And so they could feel like they have a lack of abundance in their life. And that could really, the imprisonment card also kind of reminds me of the Eight of Swords, which is Gemini energy. People could kind of really be up in their head about, that something they had been moving forward with that seemed victorious and successful ended. And now they don't have, in the great fortune, that abundance in their life, just maybe some loving and encouraging people in their life. And instead of offering them self love and deciding in high vibe Leo to love themselves and take over that role within themselves, to be loving and encouraging to themselves, to maintain balance within themselves and not get caught up in their shadowy energy and their fear and insecurity, and take action for those reasons, those people move forward. But some people haven't learned to love themselves. That would also be great fortune, is learning to love yourself. And they could just still be in more codependent energy. So then they look to get in relationships or friendships with people to make them feel more stable and grounded within themselves. But, it's like being an addict in a way, because you don't know how to do that for yourself within yourself. And then it can make people kind of be kind of controlling and manipulative in a relationship, because they're so codependent on those people to make them feel more stable, more grounded, more balanced, more loved. And yes, community and friendship and relationship helps us all. And the younger we can be, the harder it can be to not have those things in our life. But if we keep loving and believing in ourselves and kind of live our truth and don't, it's kind of like new snakes. As a human being, I kind of look at it like we just have our own snakes in our pit with us, just our own shadow nature. And then we can have other people come into our life who put more snakes in the pit with us. If we keep taking action more out of trying to maintain balance, love ourselves, be loving and encouraging, invest more of our time, energy, and effort into the people who are working together with us in a more just and fair and balanced and loving way, odds are things will go better for us. If we don't listen to our intuition and out of more of our fear and our insecurity and our codependency, we don't listen to our intuition, we look outside of ourselves for something to be the answer than inside of ourselves, there's always other people that are more than happy to be in friendship and relationship with us, being in that energy, because they are too. But then we can kind of find ourselves feeling imprisoned in a relationship that maybe also isn't encouraging of us then to heal or grow or mature ourselves, because weren't in that energy when we got in the relationship. We could have had some past pain, heartbreak, fear, insecurity that was kind of manipulating us, or lack mentality, whatever it was. We got in relationship with other people who were in that energy, and those people could be happy just continuing to move forward in the relationship the way it is. But over time, And we went through this when we were like 15, 18, 21, and 25. We were happy to be in the friendships and relationships we were. It's just that what some of the people we could have gotten in friendships and relationships with didn't know about us is that I don't want to live my life like this forever. Can I love you and want to stay in friendship and relationship with you maybe all my life? Possibly. But I am motivated and inspired to free myself from these different stages of life I go through. I don't want to stay an 18-year-old forever. I don't want to stay a 21-year-old. And at any given moment in my life, I have some fears and insecurities that I could carry around with me, but I am kind of motivated to love myself and free myself from some of those things someday. And some of the people in our life, they're like, what? Why would you do that? This is great. We should just keep doing this. And that's when you kind of realize with some people, you harness these energies differently. When other people kind of feel, the devil can be that we could go through a stage of life and the devil can represent something in the world that we wanted to do and wanted to invest in and that we enjoyed. But we're also inspired to keep growing and healing and maturing ourselves. So when we start to feel that it's getting kind of confining and restricting and limiting, which is kind of what the devil talks about, the devil card looks just like the lover's card, except that in the lover's card, there's an angel there and the people are free to live their life, be independent. In the devil card, it has the devil there and the people have chains and shackles on them. It's more codependent, more limiting, more restricting, more imprisoning. Like, I don't want to change. I don't want you to change. I don't want you to, in great fortune, love yourself and heal from things that manipulate you because I don't plan to offer love to those things within me so that I can free myself. And with some of the people, we can go through these stages with people and we can all kind of grow and heal and mature ourselves in some ways. And we could keep going through relationship cycles with them. We knew people at 15, then we were in friendships with them at 18, and we were in relationships with them maybe at 21, for example, or 30 to age 40. We can all go through some cycles together, but are we willing to keep going through cycles together? And we could work through a lot of things in a relationship where we could even help each other feel much more stable and abundant and grounded within themselves. And that's kind of the benefit that came from being in that friendship or relationship with that person. But we can get to a point where, there's maybe freeing ourselves more from a more worldly perspective to kind of being more inspired to be less manipulated by more of the world and the ego and the image and to look at life from a higher perspective. Could we have helped each other work through past pain and heartbreak, losses that we've experienced in our life, shedding old layers of ourselves, and being loving and encouraging to each other to go through the several of those cycles together? Yeah. But if at a core foundational level, one person had always planned to make their life being more motivated and inspired by these things of the world than having more hope and faith and belief in high vibe Capricorn and Aquarius and Gemini and Leo and Cancer, to be more motivated and inspired to become more independent in the world, less letting the world and conforming to the world, and being more maybe about their ego or the image and kind of shining their more authentic light, being living their more authentic truth. When we're younger, we can want people to be in friendship and relationship with us, so we can maybe not live in the thief card our more authentic truth. Would I like to go do this and do that? And do I think this and think that? Yeah, but I don't tell people that. Even, it doesn't have to be shadowy, but one thing I could just not have come into my own yet. And I don't even know what I think. Yeah, that's kind of like the process of becoming in Leo, to go on this journey to learn all these lessons, to feel more comfortable within yourself, to feel more stable and grounded within yourself. And then as you do that, you could kind of see how there's so many things in the world, and how the world tries to manipulate and control us, or people in our life. And they want to stay in friendship and relationship with us, but don't step outside of the box. Make your life about this and do these things, don't do those things. We should live our life like these people, and we shouldn't live our life like those people. And it's like, how about I just want to go live my authentic life? And high vibe energy is like, I'm not trying to manipulate or control people. I'm not wanting to do anything awful. I just want to live my authentic truth. And maybe some of the things I've been doing, I really don't know that I want to keep doing those. Oh my gosh, that's awful. No, you have to keep doing these things. This is what we do. Or, well, maybe I like those people. Oh my gosh, no, you can't talk to those people. You got to talk to these people. you know, you could feel like some of the people that at one time people could have enjoyed and liked, eventually over time, the coffin is like Scorpio death card. You could feel like it is just repeating an old pattern. And again, like it's become dead and stagnant. And I'm just ready to go do something different. Do we have to do this every Saturday? Do we have to do this every Monday? Can we go do something different? And some people are like, oh no, we got to do this every Saturday and every Monday. Why would you ever want to do anything different? It's like, uh, at one time I enjoyed it, but now I feel like I'm being controlled and manipulated, and maybe feeling like if I don't do it, then these people will be mad at me. It's like, when did I jump into a club that I didn't know I needed to jump out of? I thought we were just hanging out and being friends, and I thought I could still be my own individual. And it's kind of like, well, no, we really don't like people once they it's kind of like getting it a click that if you want to do anything different, then it's like you got to be jumped out again, like people going in a gang. It's like, oh no, you kind of lost your individuality. Now it's more groupthink, and that can be like conforming to the world or whatever. And then just as we go through life, a phase of life that we went through, it's no longer has that abundance like it did when we first started it, which out of truth and love, we would communicate to the people in our life. I don't, we entered this one phase. I think we're ready to go to a next phase. And if we're inspired together and work together cooperatively, I would like to go to that next phase. And some of the other people are like, I'm okay with just doing it like this still. And it's like, and again, for some people, this is good for my ego and my image. It works for me. And it's like, well, it doesn't work for me. Again, out of love for each other, are we willing to work cooperatively to find a compromise where everyone is happy? And with some people, we find out, that if you don't want to do it this way, I don't want to do it another way. And there is no compromise. And both people could want, to have things come to an end. Again, because we all kind of like to be in relationships with people who are kind of still motivated and inspired by the things we are, and things that we could be motivated and inspired by over time can change. And some people do not want to change. And again, some of them are just more about themselves, and it needs to be more about them. People need to indulge them in their immature ways or their egoic ways. They could be people who don't even want to do a more deep, meaningful relationship. It's more about it being abundant for them. And some of those people don't give a damn how anybody else feels. As long as it works for me and it's good for me. And, shadowy Scorpio, and of course the devil can be where people can be intimidating or controlling or abusive. And they don't really care, so long as the people will stay in it. And the thing is, people who are kind of shadowy and they're not dealing with their issues in a more high vibe way, being willing to, offer truth and love to it, maintain balance within themselves, see where something is more bossy or controlling or self-indulgent or manipulative or selfish. When we indulge people in poor behavior, it's probably just going to get worse over time because it is their way of feeling better or feeling in control or feeling a sense of empowerment, but it's a false sense of empowerment, so it doesn't last. So some people were willing to get out of jobs, friendships, and relationships with people who they felt it could have been abundant in a lot of ways of the world that would have appealed to your worldly nature, but it wasn't equally abundant in love or maybe being just and fair. So that might have been their idea of the dream workplace or relationship. It wasn't your idea. And just like some of you got out of some of those, some other people right now could be getting out of those. And some people are getting into those kind of relationships. And then those people will have to deal with their own fears and insecurities as time goes by, as they kind of don't realize that some of the people that they're in relationship with aren't who they say they are. Try to present themselves as being just and fair and loving and encouraging people, but so long as the other people don't basically heal and they keep staying the same, the relationship will move forward fine. But if the other people start to work through some of their past pain and heartbreak, some of their fears and insecurities, put some things in their life in perspective, they free themselves, which is the great fortune. They offered love to some situations in their life to be free of it. Then energetically, it's like they're not the same person. They don't think, feel, and react the same way that they did when some things used to manipulate them. But the other people may never deal with those issues within themselves. And so anybody they get in a relationship with, if those people heal or grow and mature themselves, well, then that's like the end of the relationship because the other people are unwilling to change in any way, maybe. So some people chose love and they wanted to learn the lesson they were meant to learn. What was it about me that got me in that relationship? I mean, could people wear a good false mask? Were people deceptive and manipulative? All those things? Sure. But, oh, did I have some intuition that maybe I shouldn't do this? Okay, next time I'm listening to my intuition. Was I more codependent? Okay, I gotta learn to love myself so I get out of more codependent energy. Did I don't know, was I more influenced by someone's charm or attractiveness and maybe my lust and greed? Okay, I don't want to do that. If I don't want a repeat of this pattern, I also need to see within me that got me in it and made me stay in it. And so they did this work to work through how they harness this energy in a more worldly way. And when they detach from harnessing that in a more worldly way, they no longer, then they're kind of not in alignment with some other people that could harness it in a more worldly way. And they're harnessing it in a more high vibe nature now. What is it? The house in reverse. So the house in reverse, reminds me of the Four of Wands, which is Aries energy. And again, learning to love yourself, that's a process of becoming. And so much of our life, we can be looking to other people in the world to love us and thinking that's the answer. And really, we needed to learn to love ourselves and get more balance within ourselves. And we could have been very imbalanced, which is what the bottom row represents as being more imbalanced. And Capricorn and Cancer are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. And so when we get inspired to get more balanced within ourselves, which is high vibe energy, we're no longer as out of balance. And when we're more inspired by love, we could be less in our fire sign energy within ourselves, more motivated and manipulated by these things of the world because we're harnessing our fire sign energy differently. And we've also probably grown up and matured ourselves where we're less about ourselves and willing to work more cooperatively with people in relationship. So when they quit being more influenced in their fire sign nature about these things of the world that, they could have enjoyed and loved, um, but seeing the truth that it kind of kept their life out of balance and stopped them from moving forward and feeling more balanced within themselves, they were willing to detach from people in their life who still are looking at life that way or living their life that way. And then we have the mature man in reverse and the message of concern. Well, the masculine figures can represent us operating more from our egoic nature, and high vibe energy is being more balanced, where we have our worldly egoic nature, our emotionally kind of intuitive, creative, loving nature, and our inner child, hopeful, believing nature. Getting out of our ego about being so caught up in our ego, like, I want to be in a relationship, I want to be in a friendship, I want to look victorious and successful. It's like believing if I take action in my truth and I work together with people cooperatively in truth and love and justice and fairness, um, kind of believing that those things will, I don't have to try to force the wheel to go in my favor, which us in our more worldly egoic nature could try to force things to go in our favor, kind of push our agenda. And it's kind of like knowing also Aries energy can kind of us thinking we're the boss. So getting out of quitting thinking we're the boss. We take action in our truth, get out of our ego, quit trying to force things. And if we had people in our life that wanted us to live more from our ego, and they could have been trying to force us, I don't know, their truth upon us, when we quit kind of being in our ego about some of these things, we're also probably willing to let go of some of those people in our life. And we get out of our head kind of in the message of concern. Aquarius is like the 5, 6, and 7 of swords, and Gemini is the 8, 9, and 10 of swords. So kind of in the message of concern, I'm not going to be up in my head about it. I'm going to take action in my truth. Other people can take action in their truth. And I have more hope and faith and belief that the divine has a plan for my life. I can try to force things to get some of the things that I want in the world. Should I put in work and effort to be in jobs, careers, and get along with people? And just believe if I kind of more go with the flow and I listen to my intuition and kind of follow the breadcrumbs, things will work out. But when I stay in denial of the truth and I try to force things and think I know best, taking action more out of my ego and maybe ignoring my intuition, sure, I can get in job, friendships, or relationships, but it might be more of a imprisoning, emotionally shallow, superficial relationship that could look good by worldly standards, but that was me thinking I was so smart, and pride comes before the fall. So there could be some people, if some people, the wands can be about communication. If some people used to be really manipulated just by their own shadowy nature or their own harsh, critical inner nature or their belittling, self-belittling nature or whatever, those people have offered love to themselves. That's high vibe Leo to ourselves. We have the free will to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature and to be loving and compassionate to ourselves. And then we have the free will to be in relationships with people who are loving and encouraging and compassionate to ourselves. And just like when we cut off, no, any negative comment that in my own brain comes forward, I'm going to offer truth and love to that. When my ego tries to get me to take action, I offer, it's kind of like we have this dualistic nature, but only one can be in the driver's seat of our life. The other one has to sit in the back seat. I'm putting my more immature, prideful, egotistical, lustful, greedy, blah, blah, blah nature in the back seat. And I have decided to be loving to myself and my own shadow nature. And I am going to offer love and compassion and understanding. We are going to move forward to invest in some of these things that we want in the world, but we are going to go about it in a way that in High Vibe Leo we can be proud of because we acted in truth and love. We're not going to go get in a relationship for these other reasons. And if someone comes and wants to be in a relationship with us, but our intuition tells us they want to be in a relationship with us for these other reasons, I'm going to listen to my intuition, temper my shadow nature in the back seat, that we are moving away from those people out of love for ourselves. We don't want to repeat this old pattern, and I'm not letting my more immature, codependent, lustful, greedy nature get in the driver's seat of my life. My more hopeful, believing, loving nature is going to be in the driver's seat of my life. So that more shadowy aspect does not have that kind of hold on us anymore. And then the people in our life who, it's kind of like we have these people in our life who are, they are their own human beings, but they kind of represent these different ways of being in the world because there's all these different people in the world. And we can have people in our life who represent our more shadowy way of being. And they're saying, hey, come on over here. We should be friends. We should hang out. You should date me. You should marry me. And then we have people who align with our more high vibe nature that are saying, hey, come on over here and we should hang out and we should date. We should be friends. We should marry each other. Which one are we going to align with? And eventually some high vibe people are like, why am I hanging out doing this? And hanging out with these certain type of people? Partly because we maybe had to learn to love ourselves. And when we detach from our more egoic nature, and our fearful nature, or whatever, we detach from some of those other people. And then we have to deal with this card, the concern card. Again, kind of being up in your head and ego. And it's like, that's when you're truly free, right? Free from the devil. I have hope and faith and belief that if I take action, listening to love and intuition to guide me, and high vibe energy represented by God at the big picture, I think that's the best choice. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm no longer upside down in my foundation. I'm no longer up in my head. And there's some people I won't be communicating with anymore. And they might be people that I don't view as someone I want to be in a relationship with anymore because I maybe didn't find them very loving or very authentic or very balanced. And I think they might have a lot of things that manipulate them that they don't want to deal with. And I wish them peace and love, but I want to work together with other people who are inspired to put in the work and effort to free themselves from things that manipulate them. To kind of be on the same page. And if they have things that still have a stranglehold on them or manipulate them, can I be a loving and encouraging person in their life? Yeah, but, it's kind of like you stay in the friend zone. And I'm going to focus more of my time, energy, and effort on the people who kind of seem to learn some of the same lessons I've learned, or we have more in common, than a more mismatched relationship. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Capricorn energy that they might not see coming? But I would say the good news is kind of with the death card, we had to go through an emotional detachment from some things that used to manipulate us. And that brought great abundance into your life. I accept the truth. I see the truth. I'm going to stand up for truth and love and justice and fairness and myself. I'm going to offer truth and love and justice and fairness to other people. And if that's not their free will to work together with me in that way, I accept the truth of it. And they can go do what they want to do. But I am going to be moving forward, probably kind of keeping my distance from them. And some of them not having anything more to do with them, depending on, what the situation was. And I'm going to go find people in the world who do and are inspired, who have learned some of these lessons and want to work together with people in a just and fair and balanced and loving way. Because apparently some of these people maybe didn't. So it's like, okay. The Ace of Wands, the Queen of Swords, the Ace of Cups, and the Shadow Nature, which is the Devil. And the reason is because of the Page of Pentacles. So the Page of Pentacles can kind of represent all three of the earth signs. In your more worldly nature of self, the high vibe people are more aligned with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature instead of their more worldly, egoic nature, willing to be a student of life. In order to be willing to learn lessons in life, you have to get out of your ego or your defensive nature and quit defending some more immature or stubborn or prideful or whatever ways of being, and also quit indulging other people in poor behavior. And they're ready to move forward. They've completed a cycle. They learned the lesson they were meant to learn. And just out of love for themselves, I'm ready to move forward. And then the devil can mean they're willing to face their fears. And because they were willing to kind of humble themselves, to learn lessons in life, quit trying to change other people, realize the only person you can change is you. You are inspired to look at life from a higher perspective in high vibe Aquarius energy and put things in perspective and offer love to yourself and the situation. Everybody has their truth, views life from their perspective. They have the free will to do that. And some of those people are defensive to you because they have their view of life and they have their truth. And I kind of view the devil as like, could you view some shadowy people in the world like the devil? Yes, because the devil could kind of represent that you challenge other people's belief systems and their belief system. You could challenge other people in their belief system because they don't agree with your belief system of your truth, of like what you think is just and fair. They could think you shouldn't do that. That's wrong. You should make your life, live life like we do, But they can just be mad because you challenge their belief system that they're kind of immature and think it should be all about them. And you faced your own fears to offer them love, but you're going to keep facing your fears and you're going to invest in your truth, and your truth is different than their truth. And then the devil can also mean that as you move forward in your life, there's always going to be other people who want to be in friendship and relationship with us. And it's for us to temper our more immature, codependent, worldly nature, to stand in our truth, because some of those people are people who want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with us, because you are someone who has hope and faith and belief and love, and shadowy people like to be in relationships with people like that. So you're not going to be more prideful or manipulative or egotistical or self-centered and like me. Perfect. I want to be in a relationship with you. But other people can be people who make us have to be willing to face our fears to be in a relationship with someone who is on the same page as us, that maybe we could find attractive and charming and all that. And, sometimes it challenges us to step out of our comfort zone Sometimes we were in relationships with people where it was always about trying to get those people to change. Now we might be in relationships with people who kind of challenge us to love and believe in ourselves. And maybe that's kind of outside of our comfort zone. It's like, are you willing to have some hope and faith and belief in yourself? That's high vibe Aquarius with yourself. That someone else views you as someone that they want to be in friendship or relationship with, but it challenges you to keep changing, you know? Because I think a lot of us have spent a lot of time in relationships with people where we were hoping they would change. Well, now this is a relationship that could really challenge us to change. For some, otherwise, the devil can just represent these institutions of the world. If, would you like, if you're not in a romantic relationship with someone, would you like to be? Yeah, like other people in the world. But if there isn't anyone kind of in your environment that you view as someone you would want to get to know better, you could focus on other aspects that are part of your dream. Aquarius in the Queen of Swords can be things that are part of your dream. Do you want stability and security and friendship and relationship with people? Sure. And so it's to maybe get out of one job, to move forward in a different job, invest in your own stability and security, all these other things that are part of your dream. Sometimes we can make being in a romantic relationship like, oh my gosh, if I'm not in a romantic relationship, that's the end all be all of my life. It's like, well, if you think that, you could just go get in a relationship. And that's what some people do. And then they're hiding that they're in a relationship they'd rather get out of. But because it's so important to them for some reason, where other people can be more independent. I've got my truth, I've got my dreams. If there's no one around that seems to be someone that seems to be more on the same page as me, I'm going to enjoy my friends, my family, my world, my life, and my career, and invest in healing and growing and maturing myself. Things I enjoy, with people who want to enjoy those things with me. And if it's not a romantic interest, it's not a romantic interest. And for some shadowy people in the world, they could really not like that. Well, no, you're supposed to be more codependent. If I were to come talk to you and tell you I want to be in a friendship with you and make you an offer because I could, view you as being attractive or stable or grounded or have these things of the world I want, or you're just very loving and I want those things, you might call judgment on some people because you might view them as, after you get to know them, maybe if you don't know them, again, willing to get to know people and offer people truth and love, but I'm not willing to give up my truth and my dreams to, out of want for those things. If it's not just and fair, and people being truthful and authentic is what the pages can be, then I wish you peace. I'm going to keep moving on, working with what I'm working on in my life. But I think other people in the world see you doing that, and they know they could do that, or they could do this. And there's always going to be some people in the world that are willing to kind of humble themselves to be a student of life, get out of their ego, quit being in more transactional relationships, who are inspired by that same dream. And you could end up moving forward in something. The devil can mean that other people could be jealous of because it looks like, you have all these things of the world that people wanted, and some people could wonder how you got it because they've been trying to deceive and manipulate people to get it, and you were truthful and honest, and you weren't trying to manipulate and control people. And there's other people in the world that, like some shadowy people in the world, if they wanted to, they could try to manipulate and control people just like you could, but that's not what they're interested in doing. They want to be in more authentic relationships just like you do. And some people could wonder, well, why don't those people just control and manipulate people and make it more about them? It's like, because that's not the type of person they are. They harness their Capricorn, their Leo, their Cancer, their Earth sign, their Aquarius, their Gemini energy differently. They know that love is what makes it all worthwhile. And some of these other people think, no, it's only if it's more about me or more about the ego or the image or something, or someone being codependent on me. It's like other people don't even want people codependent on them. It's like, ick, why are you acting like that? I don't want you to make me seem like I have so much power in your life because I shouldn't and I don't want it. And it's like almost sometimes other people are like, no, no, let me be codependent on you. It's like, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. Go away. What's coming up? Oop. For people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy, we have 4 cards not showing themselves, and the reason is because of the Tower. Well, it's kind of like the Tower is kind of like God trying to show people over and over that you can keep doing this if you want, whatever way you want to live your life. But see the truth. It's not because of love or what and who you're investing your time, energy, and effort into or making so important in your life doesn't have your best interest, or you don't really have other people's best interest. And if people are being more deceptive, more manipulative, more prideful, more out of their own self-interest or for these reasons other than love, the Tower is going to reveal the truth. And, because shadowy people could think, I don't think there is any higher truth or justice system. I think I can cheat the justice system. I think if I have a certain status or image in the world or get in a different job, friendship, or relationship, I'll look like I'm this just and fair and stable and grounded and loving person. No, it doesn't work like that. If that's not the truth of who you are, other people who are more inspired by truth and love listen to their intuition and maybe don't want to have so much to do with you because they can see you're more superficial, shallow, and it seems more inauthentic. Or people in their life who at one time used to view them as a more high vibe person eventually come to see, I don't think you are. You're not who I thought you were. And just trying to manipulate or control people isn't probably going to work out the way that they want. And if they do have people keep staying in that job, friendship, or relationship, it might be because those people, not all of them, some people have to stay for their own reasons and make their own decisions. But some of the people who buy into it and completely invest in it, those people are kind of more out for themselves too. And it's like there's always bigger fish, bigger prey. And sometimes some people think, oh no, no one can outsmart me and outwit me. It's like, no, there's other people in the world looking just for people like them. Huh, you had some just and fair and loving people you could have been in a relationship with, but you didn't want to move forward with them? Interesting. So you're a little bit more about your pride and ego and you want to be in a relationship, maybe more for the status and the image. Yeah, I'll create an illusion I love you, as long as it works for me. And then they could get themselves in a relationship, and because they're so manipulated by the world and the ego and the image of it, they get themselves trapped in a relationship with someone they don't want to be in a relationship with. But because those things of the world manipulate them so badly, even in the face of the divine trying to show them over and over, you should get out of this, like, no way, man, this looks good by worldly standards. It's like, this is not going to work out. This is not going to end the way you probably think it's going to. When they invest in their own more prideful, egotistical nature and other people who they let manipulate and control them, they're going to feel more imprisoned and trapped. But they keep not wanting to see the truth. And they keep thinking like, oh no, those people love me. Or, oh no, if I invest in this or I make my life about this, that's the most important thing. There will be a death to their great fortune. Because of these things that manipulate them sabotages it. And another thing they don't see coming is more high vibrational people in their life eventually see the truth. And the more high vibrational people leave their life. And they're going to have to try to deceive other people about why those people called judgment on them. But they're not going to want to tell the truth. And then the other people they get in a relationship will be concerned about staying in a relationship with them because their intuition tells them that these people aren't telling the truth. High vibe energy, you're willing to admit, I was a fallible human being. I was immature. I made mistakes in my life. Some other people aren't willing to do that. No. I got to maintain a certain image. No. It's everybody else's fault. I've never done anything wrong. I'm a perfect human being. So let's go see these cards. The Page of Cups, the Eight of Swords, the Magician, and the King of Pentacles. Well, for one thing, I think what they'll see at some point in time in their life, they had the opportunity to free themselves in the King of Pentacles, high vibe Capricorn, from things that manipulated them. But they weren't willing to offer love to their own fears and insecurities that manipulated them in order to deal with the truth. And so these things that keep them up in their head and all these things that manipulate them, or their worldly nature or their ego or their immature nature or other people in their life, because they keep refusing to see the truth, even maybe that they're immature, that they try to strategize in a relationship, live more from their mind than their heart, try to create an illusion they're more stable and grounded and mature than they are. Be truthful. If you're more immature, grow up. Quit trying to create an illusion you're more stable and grounded and mature than you are. How about you do the work? High vibe Capricorn. How about you learn to love yourself, work through your fears and insecurities, see where you need to heal and grow and mature. But for some people, they are just unwilling to see the truth of it. They've had some authentic people in their life. Adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, friends, family members, who have probably been loving and encouraging to them, but they'd have to be willing to take some accountability instead of maybe blaming everyone else. Kind of makes me think. I know I went through a phase when I was a young adult where, you might kind of drive your life off into the ditch and things don't work out the way you want, so then you blame everyone else. And if I had had this perfect life in childhood and blah, 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 I would be this amazing person. Wouldn't have driven my life off into the ditch. And I think it's kind of good and healthy to vent through all that and be mad and yell and cry. It's kind of the process of grieving these things that kind of imprison us, and it's part of the process. The Great Fortune kind of reminds me of Ten of Pentacles Virgo energy, which is about insight and self-awareness and going through that process. But then kind of as we go through that process, we could be like, there, I feel so much better. I have blamed absolutely everyone for every problem I have in my world, even if I did things 10 years after I was out of high school or something, But, kind of we almost have to laugh at a certain point. Did those things hurt us? And did some people maybe do some hurtful and unkind and unjust things that really manipulated us or something? For some people, yes. And, but eventually it's like, is this where I'm going to stay? I just stay here in shambles because of this? Or do I say, I'm not going to let shadowy energy keep me down? And I'm going to have victory over that. And I'm going to love myself. And I'm going to give myself everything that I wish everyone else had. And then we kind of go on with our life. And hopefully in there too, we looked at life from a higher perspective, and we just realized those people had their issues and they are the way they are because of their, it's just this continuous thing of like these generational curses. And I want to be someone who frees myself from those. I don't want to be another person who doesn't deal with those issues and work through it and offer love and compassion to all of it to be like a good leader in the world. Face my fears. Don't let shadowy energy win. Don't let my shadow nature win. Don't let the devil win. And some shadowy people could always be surprised when other people do that because they don't. They also could be surprised again when other people they can't manipulate people more by these things of the world. And it's like, you could look at the thief kind of being like the devil and this being like the Three of Pentacles. It's like, there's a maximum of 10. That person has 3 pentacles. I have like 10. Why would anybody go invest in that instead of me? It's because those people are authentic and truthful and loving, challenge other people to grow and heal and love and believe in themselves. Don't continue to indulge them in their more immature, prideful nature in a way. And eventually, it's kind of like, how do we go about getting these things of the world? We can go about it in a shadowy way. The high vibe people are going to start out with very little and they're going to end up with all these things of the world. And that could shock some people in the world. But they didn't even try to manipulate and control people to get it. How come they look like someone that people are really drawn to, attracted to, and they're Aquarius and Capricorn energy? They're shining very bright, and they're not being deceptive and manipulative. It's like, isn't that funny how things work? And you thought going about it the way you were going about it was the way to go about it, but love is the way to go about it. And that could really be a tower moment for some of those people. That other people work through their fears and insecurities about growing up and maturing themselves and doing equal give and take in love in a relationship. And because some of these people weren't, other people were. And other people are getting in relationships with other people who are. And they're maybe moving forward in a relationship that's not based on truth and love, that is more for these worldly reasons, that could be more emotionally shallow and superficial, but it has those things of the world that they love, so they'll probably decide to keep moving forward in it anyway. And that's justice. If they're not more motivated and inspired by love, it's unjust for them to try to trap a loving person to stay in a relationship, or like a just, more balanced, just and fair person at a workplace where other people are being awful. It's like, no, you guys should all work together. If that's your truth, enjoy your life. And it could be very chaotic and unstable. Some people like to be in relationships with people who are more immature and codependent and up in their head, so they can try to manipulate them. It's more about them. They defer to me, male or female. And some people, it could be like, oh my God, this person is so immature, or this person is so much up in their head. I mean, I really thought I wanted someone to be in a relationship and really make it about me. Kind of makes me think of that movie that's coming out now, Obsession, where that boy makes a wish that this girl would kind of like make him the center of her universe, and she did, and it was just like, oh my gosh, get away. I guess I changed my wish. I don't want that wish. Well, for some people, it might be too late, because in their pride and ego, they move forward with something, and because of their pride and ego, they won't want to get out of it or admit that maybe they made a mistake. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.